Hey, what is up, everybody? I'm here to give you guys my review for G.F.W. Impact Wrestling for July 27th, 2017. I know I'm very behind on G.F.W. It's been a like about 3 weeks since I've reviewed it, but yeah, it's pretty much been procrastination that's kind of done it because I was watching it for a while and the shows had just been utter crap, so I had to take a break. But I DVR'd a bunch of them, so I'm gonna watch all of them now, and I'm gonna start with obviously the July 27th episode, since that's the most recent episode that I haven't seen, and I'm just gonna kind of work my way up to the most current episode. I plan on being fully caught up by tomorrow. So yeah, since it's been so long since I've actually watched it, I haven't. I remember like the storylines and stuff, but I don't even remember what's gonna be on this episode. So let me kind of go through my DVR and read the guide for it. Let me just find that. It says guide. Where is the guide on this thing? Oh, info. I guess that would be what I want to hit. It says so. Yeah, this is from that episode. I think. Is it this one? Yeah. It says the biggest stars in professional wrestling battle for supremacy and compete for championship gold, including Alberto El Patron, Lashley, EC3, Eli Drake, Moose, Matt Morgan, and others. Um, And I do believe I remember this, that they also are having a last knockouts standard match for the I don't even know what the name of the title is, but it's for the GFW Unified Knockouts Championship. It's going to be Sienna defending her title against Rosemary. Uh, I guess that match has some interest behind it. Um, I'm not immensely interested in that match though, because Sienna's matches haven't been that great. But we have to wait and see. But yeah, I'm just gonna start watching this episode, and as it goes to commercial, I'll come on here and give my thoughts on it. So I'm just gonna get right into it. All right, so we had the Pope D'Angelo, De Niro, Josh Matthews, and Jeremy Borash on commentary for this show. And the show starts off. It shows Grado and Joseph Park arriving. Um, and Joseph Park's gearing him up because he wants to get him ready to pop the big question to Laurel Vaness. And Grado doesn't want to do it because she's crazy and nuts. But Joseph Park says it's the only option you have, and he gives him like a tux, like a suit, so that way he can be prepared for that big moment. Um, so yeah, I thought that was a pretty terrible backstage segment there. Then we had the actual opening of the show itself. We had a six-man tag team match. It was Eli Drake, Chris Adonis, and Ethan Carter III versus Eddie Edwards, Marufuji, which I think is how you say his name, and Moose. And you had, since it was Impact Day, you had the Orlando president, Buddy Dyer, as the special guest ring announcer for this match. Although I thought this was actually a pretty decent six-man tag team match, a nice way to start off the show. Eddie Edwards and Eli Drake start off the matchup, and Eddie Edwards out wrestles him at every turn. Marufuji and Eddie Edwards come in and hit double chops on him, and they double team him for a while, and then you know they hit and then Moose gets tagged in. No, actually that's not what happens. Eddie Edwards Eli Drake gets the upper hand on Noah Fuji for a while, and Ethan Carter the third gets tagged in, and Eddie Edwards and Noah Fuji double team EC3. They hit a drop toe hold into a drop kick, and they just hit double chops on EC3. And then Moose gets tagged in, and EC3 cowers away because he doesn't want to get in the ring with Moose. And Chris Adonis and Eli Drake try to attack him, but Moose sees it coming, but EC3 ambushes him from behind, and Chris Adonis gets tagged in, and he starts going off on Moose. he mocks his Moose chant, and then eventually Moose hits a drop kick on Chris Adonis, and now Marufuji gets tagged back in. He starts going off on him with chops and kicks to the head. And then Chris Adonis hits a back body drop on Marufuji and then a knee drop on him. And then he acts like he's going to hit like a power slam on him. But instead, Eddie Edwards saves him because he had gotten tagged in. He had tagged himself in. And he hits a drop kick on Chris Adonis. And he takes out all the heels. He goes to hit a dive onto EC3 and Eli Drake. But Chris Adonis takes his head off with a clothesline, and the heels get the heat on Eddie Edwards for a while. Chris Adonis takes a cheap shot at on Moose and Marufuji, but and Moose gets upset and tries to get in the ring, but the referee's holding him back. And as this is happening, the heels take a chance to stomp away at Eddie Edwards. And then eventually Eli Drake goes for a suplex, but Eddie Edwards reverses it into one himself. And then eventually Moose gets the hot tag, and he starts going off on Ethan Carter III. And he goes for his hesitation drop kick, but Chris Adonis and Eli Drake attack him. But Marufuji makes the save. He hits a like just a ton of kicks. He hits a wicked like enziguri onto Eli Drake and a wicked super kick onto Chris Adonis or vice versa. I don't remember exactly which one. And then he goes to hit like his finish on Chris Adonis, but Adonis reverses it into the Adonis lock. And then Eddie Edwards hits an enziguri on Chris Adonis, and then Eli Drake hits like a back suplex version onto Eddie Edwards, and then Moose hits a pump up power bomb into a senton onto Eli Drake, and then EC3 tries to hit Moose with the Impact Grand Championship, but Moose ducks, hits a pump kick on him, and then eventually he this is while the referee's putting the belt outside the ring. EC3 hits a low blow on Moose, and then he hits his finish. I forget. It's like a Angels Win face plant on Moose. I don't even know the name of it. And he covers Moose and gets the win. So EC3, Eli Drake, and Chris Adonis win. And I think it made sense with the finish that they did because obviously they were trying to set up a feud between EC3 and Moose, and they probably want to have them go at it for the Impact Grand Championship. So it made sense to have EC3 pin Moose here. But overall, I thought this was a pretty decent six-man tag team match. And then next, Mackenzie Fox, I think her name is, was backstage. I don't remember exactly, but she was just kind of running through the show. And then she's like, okay, hold on one second. And we see this fat guy. We've been seeing him for weeks. I just been forgetting to mention him, like training. And she asked what his name is and stuff, and what he's doing. And he said that his name is Richard Justice. And he said that he's just getting warmed up. And she's like, warmed up for what? He's like, well, in case they need me out there. And she's like, well, what do you mean? Because he's like, well, because I'm just a time filler. They may need me for time because time's a very important entity to have. And, we can't afford to lose it. And then she's like, okay, that's a weird reason. He's like, well, if you excuse me, I have to get back to warming up just in case they need me. So overall, I actually kind of like this reasoning, and I kind of like it because it's something that people talk about all the time, and I thought it was actually pretty funny. So overall, I think G.F.W. Impact Wrestling's been a pretty decent show so far. We had a decent six-man tag in this backstage segment with, Richard Justice was pretty funny. So we're off to a good start so far. All right, so I just watched a big chunk of the show, so I'm just gonna review what I've seen. We had a vignette for this new tag team coming into GFW Impact Wrestling. It looked pretty cool. I don't remember the tag team's name, but it looked like a cool vignette. Then next we have a segment where Lashley's calling out Bruce Pritchard. He talks about how he feels like he hasn't made his presence felt enough because the way it used to work in the wrestling business is you would when you came in you would start from the bottom and you would make your name for yourself, and when you impressed upper management you would get a world title shot, and He says though that now people are just coming in day one and immediately getting championship opportunities, and he says that um, he is the most dominant athlete in professional wrestling today, and he wants his world title shot. He wants and he wants it at the next Destination X show. So he calls up Bruce Pritchard. Bruce Pritchard and Tyrus come out, and Bruce Pritchard says, "I'm sick and tired of people constantly asking me for opportunities." And then Matt Sydal comes out and interrupts it, and Matt Sydal says that you did this to me, and I'm not going to be ignored. But Lashley shoves him aside like this has nothing to do with you. So then Matt Sydal says, "I said I'm not going to be ignored." Lashley shoves him, and then he goes for the spear. Matt Sydal counters with the high knee, and then he hits the shooting star press and completely lays him out. And then that was pretty much the end of the segment. Um, that segment I thought was solid, but I just only care for a Matt Sydal Lashley program that just seems like a waste of time. So yeah, I don't really care about that. And then next we had a match. It was the Super X Cup tournament first round match. It was Davey Richards versus Taijiri Ishimoto, I think his name was. Um, and they do a little video package kind of building up that match. Davey Richards talking about everything that he's accomplished in G.F.W. and in the X division, and then he talks about everything that the other guy, Tajiri Ishimoto, accomplished. I thought that really worked, but I thought this was a good match here. Davey Richards acts like he doesn't want to compete in this match, considering the fact that he feels like that he should be competing for the Unified World Heavyweight Championship. So they stop, but they start going at it. They chain wrestle each other, and then Tajiri Ishimoto takes it to Davey Richards. He hits a Hurricanrana on him, and he drives him out of the ring. Davey Richards got to get upset, and then Davey Richards gets in control. He hits a kick right to his head, and then he gets him into a head scissors submission. But then you know Ishimoto gets his foot on the ropes, and then he continues. That Davey Richards continues to dominate the matchup. He hits a slam into a delayed uh, knee stomp, double knees off the turnbuckle, and then Ishimoto starts to make his comeback. And then the match starts to go back and forth. They both exchange roll-ups on each other. Davey Richards gets him into an ankle lock a ton of times, and then eventually the finish comes where Davey Richards goes for the double stomp, but he's too busy taunting the crowd. And then Ishimoto hits a kick to the head into a 450 for the win. That was the match. This match would have been more exciting if you didn't already know that Davey Richards had already announced that he was leaving the company, which I talked about that in the Pro Wrestling Roundtable episode, which if you click down in the description box below to check that out. But pretty much, obviously we knew that, one of the Wolves members were going to be leaving. They may both leave. I don't know if I see Eddie Edwards leaving, but you can definitely see that Davey Richards was leaving soon. And I don't think he's gonna. I think he's gonna be taking a part-time basis when it comes to wrestling. I don't think he's gonna go to WWE or anything like that. So let's not get our hopes up for that. Um, I think he's probably just burnt out and done. I don't think he's fully done, but I don't think he'll be wrestling. And if he goes to WWE, he will have to. He won't. He will with their world schedule. I just don't think he's gonna want to do that. And then what else was happened? And then we had, I think it was the last knockout standing match next. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. No, next Bruce Pritchard and Tyrus are backstage, and Bruce Pritchard makes a match. It's going to be Lashley versus Matt Sydal at Destination X, and whoever wins gets to have the championship opportunities that they want. Obviously, we can see that Bruce Pritchard's clearly a heel, so whatever. And then we had the last knockout standing match for the G.F.W. Women's title. G.F.W. Women's Champion Sienna with KM ringside versus Rosemary. Really good last man standing match here. Nothing fantastic, but a really good match. And they both attack each other. Well, Rosemary immediately just attacks Sienna before she comes to the ring. She big boots her. She beats the crap out of her. She hits an exploder suplex on her. Um, then she goes under the ring. She grabs a table, and Sienna though gets the upper hand. She hits um, um, a knee to the head on her, and she dominates. She hits a clothesline. She dominates Rosemary for a while. She grabs a another table. Then she grabs a steel chair, throws a couple of chairs into the ring, and then they both hit each other with the chairs, but they both get hurt from it. Rosemary and her start brawling into the crowd. Rosemary grinds her face against like one of the fencing that separates the crowd, which looked really cool. And then she hits the um oh, I forget the name of it. Um, a tarantula onto Sienna like across the guardrail. Um, which Sienna is able to get up from it, and then they both get to the ring. Sienna hits a AK-47 or whatever the name of the move is off the apron, but Rosemary gets up from that, and then Rosemary hits a red wedding onto a steel chair. Sienna gets up from no. KM gets in the ring and gets Sienna up from that, and then Rosemary beats up on Sienna, hits her off the hit hits her in the head with a steel chair, and then Rosemary grabs a trash can. She's gonna go coast to coast, and KM tries to interfere, but Rosemary spits mist in his face, and then he goes. Then she goes for the coast to coast, but Sienna hits her off the head with a trash can, and she falls through a table that's on the outside, and the referee's counting. Both women are down. Well, both knockouts are down, and Sienna just is able to get off, just leave and slide off outside the ring out on the apron just at 9, and she's still on her feet by 10. And Sienna retained the G.F.W. Women's Championship, and that was it. I still don't get why they were pushing Sienna over Rosemary. Rosemary's a more interesting character than Sienna is, and I just don't really find Sienna all that interesting. She had a really good match here, but I definitely think it's because of the stipulation and because of who she was working with. I feel like she was kind of carried in this match because she didn't really do a whole lot in this match. And then backstage, Ethan Carter the third gets interviewed, and he gets asked about get his win and about and attempting to use the Impact Grand Championship. But before the guy could finish asking his question, EC3 says, "Yes, um, I used the most impacting um, finishing move ever, the ECD, the Ethan Carter driver." And he said that, lately he's been able to move his head, but tonight he dropped him on his head, and he's put himself in line to get a future Impact Grand Championship match, which we're going to get that match on the next episode when I watch it. It's going to be Moose defending the Impact Grand Championship against EC3. I'm looking forward to the match, but just because of the stipulation that they do with the Impact Grand Championship, I think the match is going to kind of fall flat on his face. And then next, Alberto Patron, Jos Caras and his Alberto El Patron's brother, I forget his name, get interviewed, and Alberto El Patron talk about how Conan took out his family, and he said that he's going to wrestle all of LAX in a gauntlet match tonight. Because he says he wants to take out one by one and then get to Conan, and he talks about how LAX doesn't really know the man that they're working for, and he knows that Conan's been crazy for 25 years since he first met him in Mexico, and then that was it. I thought the promo segment between with Alberto El Patron was pretty bad. So overall, if I look at what's gone on with this section of the show, I thought the Lashley promo segment they cut was all right. I thought the Super X Cup tournament first round match was a good match. I thought I thought the GFW Women's Championship match was a really good match. I like the promo segment with EC3. I like the vignette with that tag team before the Lashley segment, but I didn't care for Alberto El Patron. So overall, I would say this was pretty decent stuff that happened. Nothing fantastic though. All right. So next, I believe LAX was backstage, and Conan says that only one of them is going to be end up facing Alberto Patron. He pointed to a certain person, but I forget his name. I don't even remember because the whole group's just focused on Conan. You don't even know their names. I don't know if it was one of the tag team champions, if it was Homicide, but I don't know who it was. But he says that they're going to injure Alberto El Patron. And he talks about he's gone soft. It's pretty bad. Like I said, I watched the first episode ever of Lucha Underground. Conan was actually pretty good there. Here in G.F.W. Impact Wrestling, he just doesn't work. And then Treble Lee comes out and he said that he scoured the globe to find the best high flyer from Mexico to face him for his X Division Championship. And it's none other than Octagon Ciento, which I was actually pretty surprised about. I thought it was going to be some jobber, but it was Octagon Ciento. And they have a little match. Octagon Ciento dominates. He hits a Hurricane driving Treble Lee outside the ring. And Treble Lee just gets himself counted out. So Octagon Ciento wins. It was pointless. And then afterwards, Sean J. Dutt tries to come out and reclaim his X Division championship, but he gets hauled back by referees and Bruce Pritchard. I don't get why he's being reprimanded because Trevor Lee has his property, his X Division championship, and yet he's being reprimanded. It's stupid. And then what else? I think Guido and I don't remember if there was anything else before that. Was the next segment great? Was the I'm trying to remember what the next segment was exactly. Um, okay, the LEX stuff. I kind of jumped the gun on that. All right, so actually, the LAX thing actually happened first before this segment. And then next, Guido and Joseph Paul come out. Now, earlier in the night, obviously, they had shown him arriving to the win. And Joseph Paul earlier was congratulating him on his new on his outfit and stuff. And then they come out. Guido calls out Little Vanessa. She comes out. Sienna tries to at first talk her out of it, even though she was just in a last man standing match and just able to come out there and not even selling the injuries or nothing. That was stupid. Um, and Grado, pretty much tells her that she's beautiful and everything. And he asks her to marry him. And then Allie pops up on the apron rooting for her. And then Braxton Sutter comes out and he walks off with Allie. That was random. Why was that there? And you think she's going to answer. And then Congo Khan comes out, and Grado acts like he's gonna fight him, but then he gets in the ring. Grado takes off running, and then Congo Khan stands his ground. Congo Khan's supposed to be a heel, but Grado acted like the heel here. He's the one trying to, steal his girl, and he's the one using Laura Vanessa to try to stay in the United States, even though Laura Vanessa is from Canada. It makes no sense. And yeah, Laura Vanessa's character is awful. I don't know if they're going to use this storyline to snap Laura Vanessa back to reality, but this storyline is awful. Overall, this was some pretty bad stuff. I didn't care for the LAX segment. I didn't care for the Trevor Lee Octagon Ciento match. I didn't care for this segment with Grado and Joseph Paul because I don't care for the storyline. And it just felt like they just threw a bunch of random things in there, like the whole Allie Braxton Sutter thing was just random. So I thought overall this was all pretty stupid stuff. Okay, so then we had the main event. It was a gauntlet match. LAX versus Alberto El Patron. And Homicide starts off the matchup. And that match, you pretty much could have just blinked and missed it because I think the only thing that happened was Alberto El Patron hit like a slam and then a splash. And then he was done. That was stupid. And then afterwards, it was Ortiz. And Ortiz throws him into the post. He gets some offense in. Alberto El Patron makes his comeback. Hits an Ichiguri on him. He goes to go off the top turnbuckle, but LAX interferes. They attack him. They interfere multiple times, and then eventually Alberto El Patron hits the double stomp off the top rope. And while Ortiz is in the tree of woe position for the win, And the next was Santana. Santana hits a big boot on him. LAX interferes some more. Santana hit the dive on the outside. And then Alberto El Patron hits a total backbreaker. And each member of LAX keeps getting on the apron. Alberto El Patron's about to get his hands on Conan, but Santana hits a German suplex. He's able to kick out of it. He hits a body slam into a cross arm breaker. And then the rest of the members of the LAX beat down Alberto El Patron. And they beat the crap out of him. They tie his hands together right behind his back, like with the Mexican flag, and they just beat the shit out of him. And then his brother Al Hijo, I don't know how to say his name, tries to save him. LAX beats him down. His father Dos Caras tries to come out with a chair, but the numbers are just too much for him to even get in the ring. Then Veterans of War come out, and Veterans of War evens the playing field. Alberto El Patron recovers. He lays out each member of LAX with steel chairs, except for Conan, and that was the end of the show. The show ends with Alberto El Patron, Dos Caras, El Higiro, and Veterans of War standing tall. And something tells me that this is going to lead to a lethal lockdown match with Alberto El Patron's team being, his father, El Higiro, and Veterans of War facing LAX. Well, Alberto El Patron will finally get his hands on Conan, and that will blow off the feud. Um, Overall, I didn't care for this. This really made LAX look weak. That the fact that Alberto El Patron just was able to white through him. We pretty much just beat them all in match. We beat every member except for Conan. This made each individual member. And yeah, pretty much Conan's just the main focus of this group. That's all that this match showed me. And this LAX just as a group sucks. And I didn't really care much for the save. And I don't care about this feud at all. So overall, this segment did not deliver at all, in my opinion. All right, so now I'm going to give you guys my match style ratings, and then I'm going to give you guys my overall thoughts on the show. For star ratings, for the six-man tag team match, I'll probably give that match 2.5 stars. I thought that was a pretty decent six-man tag team match. For the Super X Cup first round tournament match, I'll probably give that match 3 stars. I thought that was a good match there. What ruined it was Davey Richards wasn't winning since he had left. I feel like Davey Richards should have waited until that match was announced before leaving announcing that he left the company. Fucking idiot. And then what else was on this show? For the G.F.W. Women's Championship match, I'll probably give that match 3.25 stars. I thought that was a really good I thought that was a really good G.F.W. Women's Championship match. And then for Trevor Lee versus Octagon Ciento, I'll probably give that match probably probably a star and a half, considering the fact that it was just a nothing match. And then maybe for the gauntlet match, I'll give that match like probably a quarter, probably like 3/4 of a star because it just made LAX look bad. So yeah, that's my star ratings for each match. My overall thoughts on the show. I will say I thought this was a decent show here. I thought the beginning was much better. I like the stuff they did in a sense. I did enjoy that Lashley Matt Sydal segment, even though I don't care that they're setting up to a Lashley Matt Sydal match, but I didn't mind that segment. I like the 6-man tag team match. I like the G.F.W. Women's Championship match. I like the Super X Cup match. I thought the show was pretty well structured. And what else did I like? I like EC3's interview. I like the interview they did with Richard Justice. I thought that was pretty cool. I kind of hope they do something with him because I think he's actually pretty funny. What else did I like on the show? That's about it. I didn't really care, obviously, for the Grado and Joseph Polk storyline, the Alberto El Patron and LAX storyline. What else did I not care for the show? On the show. And obviously, like that, they're setting up to a match between Lashley and Matt Sydal. But I will say it was a decent show. It was an improvement, and it actually was a decent show to sit through and watch. Maybe because I could fast forward through the commercials as well, but I still thought it was a decent show. If I had to rate it, I'll probably rate it a 6 out of 10. So yeah, that's my overall thoughts on the show. All right, so that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you guys for watching this video. Please make sure you guys like, comment, and share this video so that way people will watch it. Make sure you guys subscribe to this channel for more content and click on that bell so that way every time I upload a video on this channel, you guys will get the notification for it. Make sure you do the same for my CM Brothers and Owen the Talkinator YouTube channels. Make sure you subscribe to those channels and click on the bell so that way every time I upload a videos on there, you guys will get the notification for it. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.